Welcome to the next episode of Northern Italian Culture and Languages. We are joined by Letizia from Bergamo. Thank you very much for joining us today, Letizia. She speaks Bergamasco and is from the Bergamo city area. Just to begin with, can you please introduce yourself and a little bit about your hometown, please?
Yeah, I'm Letizia. I'm 26-year-old, and I'm from the city, from Bergamo City, actually. Even though my father's line is from Val Di Scalve, so in a very mountainous area and a very secluded one. But I like very much. I like better the city because there's many people. Even though in the city, not many people speak Bergamasco, and that's a real pity. Well, I've learned my Bergamasco from, there's the mountain Bergamasco from my father's side, which is very close, very untranslatable. And yeah, it's very difficult. And the other half is the city one, is the city half. So that I've learned from my mother's side. My grandparents, yeah, spoke it a lot. And that's basically how I was raised to speak it. Now I cannot not speak it. Every now and then, at least some words, some sentences come around. I literally cannot think not to use it anymore.
That's really nice to hear that someone in their 20s living in the city of Bergamo, home to more than 100,000 people, is still speaking the Bergamasco dialect. Now, obviously, you did say, your dad's got some origins from the mountains, so more of a rural area. So, naturally, in places which are a bit more isolated, people tend to preserve traditions, including linguistic traditions, a bit more compared to urban areas. If you don't mind, Letizia, can you please introduce yourself or speak a little bit about the city of Bergamo in Bergamasco, if that's possible, please?
Okay, I will try, and I
Perfect.
hope you will understand. If not, I will provide a translation. Just ask.
Sure.
Allora, la mia città si chiama Bergamo e mia città grande, Milano è più grande, però mia città piccolina e o belle che che la due parti. La città alta, che è o il posto più edge, dove ci monumenti, o il più bello della città, ecco, per, per dire. E poi è la città nuova, la, o il top più moderno, dove è i negozi, dove è chi comanda, chi governa, e le Piereset, però purtroppo mi piace mi parla il bergamasco, infatti l'è un po' il problema, secondo me. So I basically said that my city, well, it's Bergamo, and it's divided in two parts. So the upper town, which is where all the monuments are. It's the old city, the old town, and I'd be happy to present it in another time, but okay. And then there's the lower area, so the more modern one, where there are shops, power places, banks, people with money, and the like. And sadly, no, not much people actually speak Bergamasco, and that's very sad, very sad coming from me.
Definitely. And thank you for explaining it in Bergamasco. It was so nice to hear that. And as someone who's visited Bergamo City a few times, I have enjoyed it. But like you did say, I've not heard too many people speak Bergamasco when I was in the city, even in bars or cafes, except some people who are very old. Touching upon what you just said, are there any people your age or similar to your age living in the city who still speak the dialect? Or is it something you feel that's mostly occurring in the smaller towns in the mountains?
Well, I think mostly old people speak Bergamasco. People my age usually throw in a word or two, couple sentences here and now, maybe just to remark some concepts.
Regarding the dialect and in terms of you speaking it, um, are there any traditions that you participate in Bergamo City or in Bergamo in general? Is it mostly related to the dialect? And if so, what does a dialect mean to you? Are you a proud speaker of a dialect? Does it mean a lot to you from a kind of heritage point of view?
Well, yeah, I cannot imagine myself without my dialect because I spoke it growing up. I learned, kind of failed sometimes. But now I can proudly say I could manage a whole conversation with another people, another person speaking Bergamasco, and we would, well, understand each other very perfectly. If only I could find another person speaking a perfect Bergamasco. But as well, as for traditions, there are some events, some festivals, you could say, here in Bergamo, but I don't really participate in them very much. The one I make a point always to go to is the book fair, which is actually the booksellers fair, where you can find a whole section of books on Bergamasco and in Bergamasco both. And well, I'm actually in contact with some people who are trying to make a revival of this language because, as one of them said, in southern Italy, southern dialect is very spoken, cherished, taught to the next generation. But here is kind of hidden, and that's not nice. So those people I'm in contact with are trying to make a revival to teach it in the schools, and I think that's beautiful because we can need it. We would need it if only we had people who understood it. But that's very, very nice. And if something comes out, I'll be happy to tell you about it. In the meantime, we only have nice books, nice ideas, maybe a radio coming up.
That's really nice to hear. Touching upon that, I do think that it is very sad that a lot of people, especially in the young generation of Lombardy, but also more broadly Northern Italy, don't speak the dialects. Because as you said, I've heard that people in, Napoli or in Reggio Calabria, generally Southern Italy, do speak the dialects, and it's quite rare not to. But perhaps because of industrialization, perhaps because of families associating with dialect with peasantry and with the working class, they did not place an important emphasis on it. But it is the native language, you'd say. So it is nice that some people are writing books, maybe they're writing songs in dialect. It is quite reassuring that at least there is some hope for the future that this can continue to exist. Touching upon that, though, um, are there any projects you yourself are involved with or that you are a fan of and you'd like to promote that are to do with the Bergamasco language or culture?
Well, I'm not actually in any project right now because they haven't started yet. But if they are willing to make a radio, and by they I mean those people I'm in contact with, they wanted to make a radio with kind of like the summary of Atalanta's Atalanta's match, Atalanta being the Bergamo football team. And since I actually work at the stadium, I volunteer to make those summaries, but they must teach me the the proper vocabulary in Bergamasco because I don't know that kind of vocabulary yet. I might try to invent it. Yeah, it, it could not work. So
No,
they are trying to make this radio like well, I remember my grandfather when we went to the sea. He always had this kind of portable radio. He used to listen to matches on. So maybe it will be kind of like that for older people who cannot or will not go to the stadium and would like a summary made by by people from Bergamo in Bergamasco because well the national summary is often very bad regarding our team because well we don't have much money so we're not one of the top teams even though now we are look at our results and so maybe we can shine more lights upon our team.
just a little comment for the viewers. What I would like to add, obviously in the UK, we're aware of very popular Italian football teams who have been very good historically, like Inter Milan, AC Milan, Juventus. But Atlanta are the only major professional football club who are based in the province of Bergamo, and they have always been very popular in the province. I mean, if you look at fans of Juventus, they come from all over Italy and the world. The same is true for Inter and AC Milan, but the core supporters for Atlanta have always been based in Bergamo. So it's no surprise why we've always been very well regarded in the province. And a lot of people almost, worship Atlanta, I would say, based on what I know as an outsider. But it's very nice that you were thinking of doing that project. And by all means, when it is active and live, please do let me know. I'd love to leave a link in the description or on the channel just for the audience to check it out. I think it's a great idea about obviously promoting the dialect and also helping people who are of more senior age. So as soon as it started, as soon as any project you're now involved with or begin to get involved with starts, let me know. It'd be a pleasure to promote them.
It will be a pleasure letting you know.
Fantastic. I just want to say again, Letizia, thanks so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. And yeah, keep on speaking Bergamasco.
Yeah, the pleasure goes both ways. And well, how can I say? Tag a date with your interviews.
Thank,
So that means keep going, go on.
thank you. Thank you.